Welcome to the Women Without Excuses podcast. I am Alvan Yani, your host. The Lord had placed this thought in my heart over 21 years ago. But when He told me, I laughed just like Sarah because I was so full of excuses. I had small children. I didn't have any money. The economy was bad. Who was going to listen to me? I had so many insecurities that were fighting with me. I lost my mom. I lost my dad, yada, 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 so on and so forth, to the point that all of those excuses caused the idea and dream that God had for me to be buried, put on a shelf for 20 years. Well, 2 years ago, the Lord started stirring again in my spirit, women without excuses. I still had excuses. And He said, don't dare wait to present as if you don't have any excuses, because people who don't have excuses, we can admire them, but we can't relate to them. But God has called you to be relatable. Yes, I have excuses, but I have to fight to do it. Whatever the assignment is, whatever is necessary, anyway. So here we are. So let's look at Martha, the brother of Lazarus and good friend of Jesus. She had conversation when her brother had died with Jesus before they got to the gravesite. In her conversation, she had acknowledged that she believed in His power. She knew He had resurrection. She even trusted that if He had been there a little earlier in Lazarus' sickness, He could have healed the situation. But now He waited, He tarried, and the thing is dead. Well, not the thing, but Lazarus. Lazarus was dead, but that's just how we feel. The thing, whatever our thing is the ministry, the business, the school education, the opportunities, the family. Now it was dead. Lord, if you had showed up a little earlier, maybe we could have salvaged this thing, but it's dead now. It's dead. And so Jesus is saying, okay, well, let's move on a little further. Trust me. They get to the tomb where Lazarus has been laying for 4 days. And Jesus says He's ready to do a miracle. He's ready to show power. And He says, roll away the stone. And Mary jumps in, the one who had just professed that she believed in His power, and said, stop. She gave Him an excuse. It stinks by now. Lord, you don't want to open this up because it stinks by now. And that's exactly what we do. We say, Lord, I'm too old now. I'm not old enough now. The economy's not right now. Actually, it's collapsing, about to collapse now. I don't have technology under my belt now. I don't have a handle on this. I don't have a handle on that. Yada, yada, yada. All of this right now. And Jesus is looking and saying, you know what? That might be true. That might very well be true. But give me a little opening. Can you give me a little space to be who I am? Allow me to be God in the situation. Give me room to work. And don't allow your excuses to be a barrier or a hindrance for seeing me do what I want to do in your life for my purpose. And then watch me not only resurrect that thing, call it back, give it life, give it power, bring it forward. But I'm also going to cause the people that I have assigned to come alongside it and help free it further and move it onward, bringing it to a testimony of not your goodness, not our power, but His own, His very own power alive in us. Let's not allow excuses to hinder us from thinking that it stinks. The stench is too much for God. The stench is too much to move forward. So please continue to join with me as we are on this journey to look and examine excuses, to hit them head on, and to do it anyway. You're listening to the Women Without Excuse podcast. I invite you to visit my website at www.womenwithoutexcuses.com to get a copy of my ebook, Women of Faith, Stories of Courage and No Excuses. We examine several of the prominent women in the Bible that see how they dealt with excuses. Excuses can cause a lot of different outcomes, no outcome at all, a corrupt outcome, a thwarted outcome. But if we challenge them, then we can also have victorious outcomes because God is in it with us. Thank you so much for listening to the Women Without Excuses podcast. I'll see you next time.